All right, I'm just gonna get started. So, last week, my alerts weren't the greatest because first of all, I didn't really have too many, but I did have a few. The one thing I did say is, um, obviously, I said would like to see something like this if we didn't hit 3 9 12 sell side first. So here you can see it. And I know a lot of people first learning ICT is like, well, why does it matter if we get 3 9 12 sell side first? Why would this be invalidated if we didn't hit this? Okay. And if you see from this chart, um, obviously exactly what I said would happened. And we rejected this for our fair value gap. And this isn't actually complete yet, so I still think we're gonna go hit this right here. But I am more confident that we will hit like this line right here, this line for sure. So we technically still haven't hit my target yet. So that definitely makes it interesting for tomorrow. I'm still bearish going tomorrow because I know we haven't hit my target yet. And one entry I am looking at to enter tomorrow is this right here. I'll probably end up alerting it if we get a setup off this, but I would definitely draw this 5-minute fair value gap on your chart. It's a very, very good zone. I'm almost 100% sure. I know you can't guarantee anything with this market, but I'm also 100% sure you can even if this doesn't go million billion points, I can almost 100% guarantee you will be able to scalp something off the zone. I guarantee we will end up rejecting this if we get to it. Okay. So we obviously hit this. This was the first target that I had in mind for last Friday after the PPI dump, and we ended up not filling this void fully. So what a void is there's a gap here in the 1 second, meaning no orders were filled, and we ended up not filling it. But on NASDAQ, we did fill it. So just keep in mind this is unfilled. And then on the daily chart right now, this is also unfilled down here. So if we break this and get a little down here, then we're just going to smash right through it. And CPI is this week, so I think, do not mark my words on this, I think CPI will be bearish. Do not play it though. Why do I think that? Well, I think it's going to just be this fair value gap rejection, and we have a void down here. And it's just, I don't know. So many people are expecting a Santa rally. So I'm really expecting CPI to be bearish. But if I'm wrong, I don't really care. I'm not really playing this, and I'll look for setups off of CPI. So, yeah. So let me just go to a few of my plays last week and just review them. Let me see if I can find a loss real quick and explain why it was a loss. I did actually have a few not so great ones. So on 12/8, I tweeted this, or I never tweeted this, I'm sorry. I said I like this for a long entry, okay? And at this time, I would have really liked the re-entry right here at this time. So I'll show you exactly what zone I'm talking about. It was right here, okay? So obviously, I said I liked this long, but I didn't like it long 50 million hours later into the day. I liked it long at that time. And as you can see, we actually did end up long going, bouncing off this fair value gap right here, okay? But I really wanted this. Why? Because it's a balanced price range. So if you don't know what a balanced price range is, it is basically a range where these fair value gaps match. So we have, see how this fair value gap lines up with this bull one. So this is called the balanced price range. These are very, very useful, and I often find them to work a lot in these kind of V-shaped scenarios. So see how this is just, this is a huge V shape. We get the fair value gap. It lines up with this. So that's kind of why I said I like this long entry. And in my alert, I wanted it then, okay? So right after, when we hit this, I saw you bounce out of the fair value gap, but not the VPR. So I said, I'm canceling my order. I never got filled because my limit was down here, so I was a few points from getting filled. And I said my target would be Hive Day for runners. But yeah, so we ended up not hitting high of day, but we just barely missed it. But Nasdaq did hit high of day, so that did create a divergence. And I've been watching for divergence a lot, but we ended up hitting high of day in the end without hitting this low. So that was nice. But the reason why I canceled my order for this instead of just longing here way later into the day, because first of all, technically this was already used, and third, this was such a big knife that I didn't really want to go get some momentum. But this is like using fair value gaps on ICT is such a good strategy that I sometimes forget that this long is still going to work even that late into the day. So it's just something that I need to trust more, the strategy more. So I never ended up longing this end of the day, but you can see we perfectly bounced out of this. And I even posted on Discord, I said if you're degenerate and longed after we got that, then good for you, because again, when we have this giant knife, these fair value gaps will catch these falling knives, and a lot of people say, oh, don't try to catch falling knives, you're gonna get wrecked. But literally with ICT, you can catch falling knives, and you can know when a giant pump is gonna reject. You just have to have a good zone, and this was obviously a good zone. It was a V shape, and it was a box setup with a balanced price range, so we have that. And the other play alerted is show you guys right now. I said gonna enter in this right here. So I said gonna short the zone for a 5-10 point move. Again, look, this is the BPR, and we got to the fair value gap, but we never got to my entry, and I said canceled. Congrats if you got filled, and we ended up going quite a few points off that. So we went like 10 points off that. If we go to the 3-minute real quick, it was right here, and I'm sure some people did. I know some people did get filled in this, but you can see, look, right as we tap into this fair value gap, boom, rejection, 3962 all the way to 3952. So that was a 10-point move. And again, I never got filled. I canceled my order. What happens? We go to my entry where I wanted, and we have a tiny bit of drawdown, and then boom, 10-point move. So again, that's another valid play that I tweeted that I said I personally canceled. But if I say I personally canceled, I guarantee you the entries will still work. But I know some people who like do not want to copy me like every single move I do. Some people will still take this play. It just depends on the type of person you are. So obviously this still plays, but the importance of knowing the setup is why this work. Well, it's another BPR, as I explained. We do not take liquidity at high a day. So even though I figured the zone would work for a scalp, I didn't think we would reject off the zone and go way down here. And in my alert, I noticed how I said I'm going to take this for a 5 to 10 point scalp. I never said I was going to take the low day. Why? Because I knew we didn't take liquidity up here in ES, so I wasn't bearish until way down here, okay? So that's really something you got to keep in mind. Since we did not hit liquidity at high day, that's why I only said I was taking for a 5 to 10 point move. So it was kind of like a counter trend scalp. And if there's one thing you took out of this recording tonight, I think it would be that. Just if you see like a really clean fair value gap, it's a box setup or a balanced price range, make sure that we've taken liquidity on an opposite side. But if we haven't, just know that it'll probably be more of a counter trend scalp. It obviously depends on the scenario, but that's just something I've noticed. We didn't take liquidity high day yet, so I didn't think this would go hit low day, which is why I said way before we even got up here, I said I'm only looking for 5 to 10 points, and we got 10 points, so it was decent. So that's one thing. Another alert I had is this one. So this was kind of a mid alert. It was in the morning at 9:17 a.m. and I said I was shorting right here. I'll go to the 1 minute chart right now, and I said gonna short right there, stop over the dotted line. And the reason why I like this is because even though this was kind of inducement on a higher time frame, the stop was only a 3-point stop. So a lot of times I like taking plays. The stop is like a 10-point stop, like really clean fair value gaps. Like look right here. If you took this, the normal ICT stop would be over this high, right? But the one in here this is the last week high, so this would be where your stop is, okay? And I saw that, so I was like, okay, this is really good risk reward. I'm gonna at least try it, and I knew I'd be able to get like a top tick entry in this because the fair value gap was so small. So I knew I'd have barely any drawdown. So as soon as we hit this fair value gap, it was a 1 minute fair value gap. I said moving south to break even. I did top tick this. I think it was like 0.50 or 0.25 off, but still basically top tick. But you can see right here, I said scaling some here in this fair value gap in case we bounce. So boom, I entered right there and I said scaling in here. Why? Because I wasn't sure if this was reducement or not, and I'm gonna show you guys the exact scenario on the chart right now. But it was the 9, so it was right here. Okay, here's the fair value gap I entered in. Here's where I said I was scaling. Okay. And look at this bottom tick scale. So I said I was scaling right here. And why? Because I did not want to risk us hitting the low, first of all, because I knew it was market open in 10 minutes. So I knew there would be some wick that could stop us out. And sure enough, there was a wick, but it didn't go our way. And second, we just had PPI, okay? And we're retracing this. And if you guys study ICT, you know this is a liquidity void, okay? So you know there's unfilled orders right here, and you know they want to be filled. And what does that mean? Well, once we broke, so we made this new high right here, we made a higher low, and then as soon as we broke this high right here, I was like, okay, it looks like we're going to uptrend for the day and fill this void. So that's why I didn't want to short this down to this low. I mean, that's where I was trying to leave my other half to, but that's why I scaled here instead of just waiting. So as soon as I saw this, I saw we're going to fill this void. There's been so many news events where we'll get like a giant pump or dump. So I think last Friday we got another dump, and we ended up filling the void all day, like kind of slowly like this. And these voids really want to be filled. They need to be rebalanced. So that's why I kind of said I was scaling there. So remember, if we get a news day, we get a giant dump like this, and you see like a decent structure break up, expect us to fill it all day, and then look for your short way up here, okay? That's just something really important to take into account. So yeah, even though I only got 4 points out of this, I still scaled at the perfect time just in case, okay? But you can see my entry is still really good because technically, yeah, we have an energetic break in market structure shift right here, and then we've obviously really gap right here. And actually at open, it went over my stop, so my stops are here. It went right over my stop, and then boom, wicked way down here. This was my final target, but we would have been stopped anyways, just over the slow. So you can see I would have gotten wicked out at open, so it was the right time to get out. But yeah, even like right here, okay, we have this obvious fair value gap, but in this situation, we know that we're still in the void. We still failed the top half of this, so I was expecting the list to be filled. And look, what do you notice? Well, there's no market structure in this one. There's no obvious higher low being broken. So yes, while this does work to some extent, like you can see, we wick down, wick down, wick down. Out of this, we even wick way up here, then down again. I'm sure a bunch of people thought, oh, this is a liquidity grab, I'm going short right here, and they got wrecked. You got to realize we were filling this void all day, and we still didn't fill the whole void, and there's no market structure shift, so there's no reason to short this, okay? And having a liquidity void off of news can be tricky because there are days where we will get a CPI or PPI, we'll dump, and we'll just dump trend day the rest of the day. That's why I kind of wait for structure to tell me what to do. So as soon as I saw us break this last higher or lower high, that's when I kind of had a long bias of the day because I was like, oh, they're probably going to fill this void. So I think that's something really important to take into account. I got south the rest of it break even. And this is the final thing I'm going over. Here's a confirmation short. So confirmation shorts are really important. I love talking about them. But if you look at this on the 15-minute, if you guys know what a breaker block is, I've done a few things on that on my Twitter. But breaker block is basically this. See how this small red block for this up move. So this is an order block, and obviously we dumped through it through PPI. PPI is not going to stop there, okay? So now that we dumped through it and it's a failed order block, it's now a breaker block because we are at the highs. We took liquidity over these equal highs. If it lets me draw a line. So we took liquidity at these equal highs. We formed this order block, and then we broke through it. So now it's a breaker because we took liquidity. If we didn't take liquidity, it would be a mitigation block, but they're still both really good. So yes, you can just wait till we get up to this breaker block and short it. But instead, what I like to do is wait for confirmation. So often I'll go in the 1 minute and I'll look for a setup off that. So in this situation, as you can see, we get up to this breaker block, we form a high, form a higher low, and then boom, we get an energetic breaking structure here, and we get a rejection of this fair value gap here. This is the second time we rejected this, and we actually bounce off this one too, and then we get another market structure break, and you can see how energetic this is. See how energetic this one is right here. You can see just by this pace and break of structure, it's very, very energetic. And then if we go to the 3 minute, we can look for a fair value gap, and sure enough, right here is our fair value gap. So that was really nice there. Sorry about that. And again, this is for people who don't want to just slap a random order block or breaker block, because sometimes these breaker blocks will not work, okay? And you have to keep that in mind. That's why I like looking for 1 minute confirmation setups off of it. And a lot of people, like in the retail world, they're like, oh, wait for confirmation, wait for a 5 minute candle close. But in this situation, we're not waiting for a candle close, we're waiting for another setup off a original setup, which is even like a safer confirmation. So we get the breaker block, we reject this, we see that. And then we get the short setup right here. We have the break of structure, and then the fair value gap in that. And ideally, you could scale out at these swing lows, but there's a lot of them. But if you're a long-term trader, your obvious target would be this low right here. And I did do a YouTube video or a video on Twitter I posted on Friday, and I thought I marked this out, but I didn't. I marked the lower low out, but I'm assuming like this would have been an obvious source of liquidity because it's low day, and people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to have my stop loss below the PPI data, because if we're bullish, why would it go below that? And again, that's where smart money targets, because people know leave their stops there. So that's like your long-term target. I know we already hit it, and this is hindsight, but I even said this was the target last Friday before we got here, and I knew we still hadn't hit the target. And even now, we haven't even hit the target where I think we're going, because I'm still bearish. I think we're going to end up hitting down here, right here, but we'll see. So that's about it. Definitely draw this 5 minute fair value gap on your chart. I'll probably learn it if we get up to it. Or what I'll do is I'll do the same thing I did here. So instead of just shorting this because it's 4 days later we get to this point, well, I'll look for a 1 minute setup off of this, okay? And then that's when I'll go short. So yeah, that's all I got for now. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to just say something in free chat. If you do questions, I'll give you guys like 30 seconds, I guess. If not, it's all good. I'm hoping you all understand ICT or know of it. I know some people come to these classes and they have no idea what I'm talking about. They don't know what a fair value gap is or any of that stuff, but I did do a ICT class the first ever week I taught this, so and I'd really recommend learning from the source if you don't know what ICT is. I'm sure most of you have. I recognize if like I know Mitch has, but like Howie, I know you have. But yeah. I'll give you 30 more seconds for a question. And if you think of a question later, just feel free to ask me, either in my Discord or in here. Doesn't really matter. I see how he is typing, so I'll just wait a second. Basic question. How long did it take me to learn ICT and all the models? I would say so. There's actually a lot of models ICT has not taught us, and he calls it. They're like kind of called PD arrays, and there's like over like 20. Okay, according to his Twitter, there's about 20 PD arrays he hasn't taught us, but the ones that he has, I'd say about 5 of them. Like there's breaker block examples. There's a normal 2022 model. There's mitigation block examples, etc. I'll say the normal one, I would say about 5-6 months, and even I felt like I haven't fully mastered them. So I think there's still room for me to improve and find them more perfectly. But like the basics where I can take my own plays and be profitable, I would say about 5-6 months. Yes, but there are definitely play there. I could definitely be way more profitable. It's just probably gonna take a little more time. Like there's just plays I miss because I'm not fully aware what's going on. But well, again, a lot of the simple 2022 mentorship plays, I catch a lot of those. They're pretty easy for me. But yeah, I'd say about 5-6 months. But I was already trading before that, so I kind of understood what comes with it. So, like, I did used to trade like the strat, so I understood like, oh, you have to wait till low day or till this target hits, like, because that's how the market works. But even then, like, if I took the short up here, let's say I took this 1 hour short, there's no way I would still be holding way down here. That's a 50-point move. I'm not at that level yet. Yeah, so options. I used to do options as well, and again, I could not hold options past 100%. I think my highest was over 200%, but rarely. It's so hard holding them. But yeah, ICT was confusing at first. I know a lot of people like Shinobi. He learned this and started slapping every value gap there wasn't a chart. That's not how this works at all. But if you take the time to really go through the mentorship and watch on videos, I think it'll take probably like 5 to 6 months to start learning this. But don't be like people who like. There's people who give up. Like Shinobi gave up in this. He started slapping every fair value gap there was. He didn't really take the time to learn the content. I still like I talked to Shinobi a lot about it, but he doesn't really do this anymore. But definitely takes a lot of time. And even I'm still learning stuff about this. Like I've been studying standard deviations a little more, which I haven't been using, and then I've been studying how to use the midnight open a little better. So. No, I literally just watch only ICT, and then T trades as well, and then AM I ask questions to him, AM trades on Twitter, but mostly ICT I learn from. Mitch, I didn't get to do it because I literally just got back from a Buffalo Bills game that I went to that I did not know I was going to today. So I'll have to do that after my final on Tuesday, but I'll definitely be doing that this week. Yeah, I'm so glad they won. All right, well, I'm probably gonna end it there. Again, let me know if you have any questions you guys think of on Discord. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.